Okay, so I hope that we're just starting, and the other participants will join. But I propose that we start now, and I am happy to see all of you for the. Now it's actually already very important, I would say, part of our historical event, because now it's 15th conference of the Law for Management conference in Moscow, and its annual one. Unfortunately, during last couple of years, the COVID brought some additional changes to our ability to have this conference offline. And even though this year we were really trying hard to put everybody offline and to have the meeting with as many people as possible, still unfortunately the overall situation today didn't allow us to do this. And even we were really negotiating hard with the IBA and Law for Management Committee about the event. And Law for Management Committee was extremely positive and supportive towards the event. Still, the recent changes in the COVID situation, and after we voted the situation, we decided that probably this year we will not be able to do this in full-scale offline event. As a result, we decided to change the format a bit for this particular conference, and this would be not named the full-scale Law for Management Conference, but it would be 2021 online report to the legal profession. Why we decided to go this way? Because in the preparation for the events during this year, we had roughly 7 very interesting discussions, online discussions, that were covering the most important topics of the legal profession in our region. And most of the speakers and most of the organizers of these discussions are now present at our event. And those who were not able to join any of the discussions will be able to get the nutshell of the discussions during our online report today. In addition to this, we would like to thank people for supporting our interest to have networking session, and we are going to have 2 kind of networking sessions. One of them, as you can see, is in Moscow, and we have the bravest lawyers joining efforts together and sitting in the conference room of the law firm ZKS. And I would like to thank Dennis for this possibility, for this opportunity. And this is one part of our networking event. And the second part would be done in the REMO formats that would be going right after the presentations made by the leaders of the online talks. And this, I believe that most of you have already met this kind of event and been to this kind of event, but those who didn't, you will be able to see the reference to the REMO on the chat column of the conference, and you will be able to join the this REMO event by clicking the reference, and you will be able to register yourself. And as soon as we finish the discussion, I would strongly advise you to join the discussion, because you will have this roundtable discussions, and you will be able to join any of the particular topics that will be presented today. Otherwise, I would like to thank the IBA Law for Management Committee for the support of this event, and specifically Rolandas, who actually made a great contribution to this event, being also a co-chair of this event. And I would also like to thank leading LexProf, Euroconsult, for being partners to this event, and our information partners, CIS Arbitration Forum, Global Legal Post, and Pravotech. Otherwise, I know that quite a number of you already knowing about the conference event itself, but I would like to give the possibility for my co-chair, Zoya Ilyenka, who is a partner in North Legal, to introduce you with the format of our event today and to give you some specific information about the housekeeping rule for our event. Please, Zoya.
Thank you so much, Vlad, for introducing me. My name is Zoya Ilyenka. I'm partner of North Legal, a Barcelona-based law firm, but I'm very happy to be here today in Moscow. And I would also like to thank all the participants who have decided to join us today. And I would love to say also congratulations, since it's the Lawyers' Day today in Russia. So in a way, we're here to celebrate our profession all together. I think it's a brilliant coincidence. And also special words of gratitude must go to our partners and to the members of the conference committees for their time dedication, involvement, brilliant ideas, and top quality execution. Over the past year, thanks to the committee members' work, we managed to deliver a great amount of useful material in forms of webinars, masterclass events that attracted recognized professionals in the field and for the benefit of our colleagues internationally. December is a great month for taking a look back at all that's been done and planning for the next year. And we hope that this event will help you to collectively set your mind on the new goals to make the new year even more productive and successful. And to make this session useful in particular, I want to announce some housekeeping rules for the next 3 hours. First of all, as Vlad has already mentioned, we have simultaneous interpretation here in Zoom. That means that every participant will be able to choose to listen either in the original language or the translation. Please find the translation button on your panel and use it to transit from channel to channel when you deem appropriate. Also, let me remind you that this event will have 2 parts held on different platforms. First of all, here in Zoom, we are going to have legal market specialists delivering their reports that will be followed by a Pecha Kucha session that will help us to remember the main takeaways from the pre-conference talks delivered during the past year. And as you know, we wanted to allow all the participants to have a decent amount of time to discuss the topics and network. That's why the networking part, or the second part of this event, will be held on Remo platform. If you're not familiar with the Remo platform, it is a networking platform that simulates round tables where you will be able to sit at any virtual table of your choice and network with the colleagues. You already had a chance to create your own account on the Remo platform by following the link provided in the invitation that you received. However, if you haven't yet done so, no worries. If you open the chat box right now here in Zoom, you will see that there is a link that we will use to transfer from Zoom to Remo. We will give some time for all the participants with no hush, just to transfer from one platform to another. You will see it's very intuitive. You will just have to create your profile. You can add picture, you can add your social media, details of your firm, anything that you think is appropriate to make the networking experience even more useful. So that's about it, about the housekeeping rules. And I think we can transit swiftly to the next part of our event. And I'm honored to yield the floor to Rolandas Valiunas. He is the co-chair of the Law Firm Management Committee, also co-chair of the Law Firm Management Conferences in Moscow and London, and managing partner of Ellex Valiunas, the biggest business law firm of Lithuania. Thank you, Rolandas, for all the support for this conference and this particular event, and we would love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you, Zoya. Thank you for marketing. Thank you, Vlad. Dear friends and colleagues, дорогие друзья и коллеги, it would be my clear preference to be in Moscow today because I know so many of you and I really miss many of you. We haven't much possibilities to meet during this year, except those who were at Law Firm Management Committee flagship conference in London a few weeks ago. But otherwise, the life is full of surprises. None of them are pleasant, and that is the reason why we have the virtual conference instead of the live one. Well, this is actually the last Law Firm Management Committee sponsored event this year. At the same time, is the last month of my chairmanship at the committee. And I believe we did quite a few things during this year, starting with ESG guidelines for the law firms, affordable leadership courses, and regional conferences, among other priorities. And Moscow, of course, is established regional conference and a good example for others. And I still remember when 15 or 16 years ago, Vasily Rudomino was trying to prove that it's a good idea to make the conference in Moscow. And with his capability to convince people, it was not as difficult for him to get the successful approval of that. And here we are, we have very successful and good example of regional conferences ongoing for so many years. What happened during the last year? As we all know, we lived in virtual world, and that proved us something. Because 5 years ago, we discussed that the blockchain is something that is going to prevail in a few years, and the state registers will not be needed, as the blockchain technologies would help us to do everything online, and we don't need the control for that. Also, 5 years ago, we discussed that artificial intelligence is clear advantage and the big threat, because with artificial intelligence, in 5 years, we would not need the junior lawyers, because artificial intelligence would do all the more simple work. And once we would not have the junior lawyers, we would not have the partners in a few years, because it will be not people that are capable to grow to partnership. Well, we were not right in everything. As you know, the blockchain is not replacing the state register yet, and artificial intelligence haven't succeeded so far too much as we expected. But last year changed many other things. Many European jurisdictions, many European countries had the real economical growth, and law firms were prospering as well, facing unparalleled growth of 20, 26, 20, 30% growth a year, which created the huge problem for all of us. And what we had as the fight for talents became the war for talents, really putting us in a difficult position to serve the clients to the extent needed. So there are many things that we need to learn, and I hope we would learn some things today. Not because who is more brighter would tell us, but discussion helps to make your own mind, and I believe we would be able to do so. Finishing, I suggest as many as you as possible would come to IBA mid-year meeting in Vilnius in May coming year. Vilnius becoming the capital of mid-year meetings, because it already the third time is announced mid-year meeting in Vilnius. 2 of them were postponed. Hopefully this one will be the happening, and I hope to see you in Vilnius next year. And Vlad, Zoya, thank you so much, because you were the two that made all the job with the help of Ekaterina. And I hope our event will be bright, nice, inspiring, and would encourage many more people to come next year to see it alive. Back to Vlad.
Thank you very much, Rolandas, and thank you for your optimistic scenario. Obviously, I would strongly recommend to join meeting in May, and especially because Rolandas promised very good wine, as usual. In addition to this, I have to admit that Law Firm Management Committee was probably one of the first committees to have offline events. And I have to say that it was extremely pleasant to see so many of you in London, and to be able, to speak normally, and, to be in touch with people and to shake hands. Unfortunately, due to some kind of interesting interpretation, it wasn't possible to ask questions from the audience, but otherwise it was almost like back to normal. So thank you for this event, and I'm sure that many of us will consider the possibility to travel to Vilnius and to see you and the other colleagues in person. We are now moving to the main part of our conference, and I have to admit, and I think everybody of us would definitely say that we were initially quite scared by all these global changes that the legal profession and the whole world actually facing. And to very much extent, it wasn't clearly possible to understand what happens, how exactly it happens, what exactly will be the next step of our developments. But the outcome was actually quite positive. And what we can see, for example, from the reports all around the world, that the outcome of the financial outcome for many of the law firms was very positive, and companies were developing and they were promoting partners. But we are now facing quite different challenges, and we're facing quite different legal universe, I would say. That's why our next two speakers are experts in this field, and we believe that it would be extremely interesting for us to understand this kind of analysis, what's going on all around the world, and what's the situation in this part of the world that we are representing now. So we have two speakers. One is Norman Clark, co-founder and partner of Walk & Clark. And Norm is very well known within the IBA and outside IBA as one of the most brilliant business advisors on the legal firm development. And Norm will tell us about the international global trends of the legal profession. And then after Norm, we'll have Alexander Khvoshchinsky, who I'm absolutely sure all of us do know quite well. And Alex is a great expert in our legal markets, and he will be able to share his view on what's going on with the Russian and CIS, and I would say surrounding world legal market, and how exactly he sees the developments for this market in the nearest future. Norm, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Vlad. Good morning from Florida, everyone, and good afternoon or evening as the case may be. Alexander and I are actually going to do a joint presentation because, as you'll see, we have a lot of very similar views, some different perspectives, but the way that we have been looking at the world the past 2 years has been very similar. We'd like to begin today's report to the profession by sharing these observations, particularly about 5 things that we have been observing in legal services industries since we were all last together physically in Moscow 2 years ago. Now, we do not have time, of course, to discuss every challenge, issue, and opportunity that law firms worldwide face today at the end of 2021. This could take all day. Instead, we want to spotlight 5 common trends that we are seeing almost everywhere in the profession, and some of their implications at the local level in each of your firms. In almost every country, law firms and their business clients are still in the second half of the pandemic. We're trying to continue to manage the disruptive effect of the pandemic right now on our business, while at the same time preparing for the post-pandemic world that could be significantly different from what we have experienced in the past. Alexander, what introductory observations do you have?
Thank you very much, Norman. First of all, I'm very honored and pleased today to make this report together with you. What I intend to contribute to this report is a focused regional perspective on the so-called new and young markets, the markets, so to say, of my primary professional operation domain. These markets in the post-Soviet or Russophone countries are 30-something years old, and what are still the main characteristics of these markets, and I would name 2. Fewer number of the law firms who had already passed a management succession, thus having proved a high level of a management maturity, so to say, and a greater number of the firms who still keep learning their businesses and thereby operate with a rather shorter strategic horizon, so to say, and I'm referring to the genius pictures you selected, Norman, operating without the necessary instruments in their hands to manage their firms. Norman?
Thank you. Well, let's begin And we'll group these 5 global trends into 2 large categories: law firm operations and law firm strategy. Of these 2 general areas, we have been seeing that the greater amount of time, effort, and concern for most of our law firm clients have been in the area of operations, because that is where the pandemic has had its most visible impacts. Your law firm probably operates somewhat differently from how you worked in 2019, and some of these changes probably will be permanent. The first global trend concerns the talent. How can we continue to recruit and retain the right number of people with the right skills? We are seeing perhaps more turnover in lawyers, more lateral hiring, more firms splitting up than perhaps in any time in recent memory. New ways of working and greater productivity through technology are also causing many of our law firms to reconsider just how many lawyers they actually need for the right balance of client service and profitable staffing. Alexander, over to you.
Yeah, well, operations ruled in the new markets too. And indeed, the HR function had gained and has been gaining even more attention of the law firm leaders in the new markets. Those partners who had already developed up to March 2020, the quality HR function, including recruiting, retention, utilization, monitoring and control, professional development, and compensation systems, those firms are doing very well. They were capable to face the pandemic challenges and to overcome them. Other firms had rather to react to those challenges, and God bless those who have been making the right choices as to the people and their skills. As always, a principle make the right next step worked out very well. You might not have a very well functioning HR or talent management system, but if you make right decision and right choices about the people and their skill development, then you will succeed. Norman?
So think about the people. And the second area to be thinking about is actually one of my favorites: money, sustainable profitability. The second trend that we've seen is an increased awareness of and interest in profitable law firm operations. For our firm, Walker Clark, almost half of our new consulting engagements this year have involved sustainable profitability. How can a law firm improve profitability and sustain that improved level of profitability in an increasingly competitive and uncertain legal services market? With continued and in some markets increasing price sensitivity, most of these law firms are looking for new ways to improve the productivity, efficiency, and quality of their internal operations. At the same time, we're seeing a renewed interest in some of the proven traditional methods of managing profitability, such as closer attention to the management of working capital in areas like unbilled work in progress and accounts receivable. What do you have to say about money, Alexander?
Well, those law firm leaders who were in position to learn from the lessons did learn a lot, indeed, because those firms faced March 2020 with a reliable financial data to learn from. The most fruitful profitability lessons learned included, in particular, well, first, productivity always matters. We had some hard times yet, and thanks God, we have very good people all around us to overcome the challenges of productivity failing. Efficiency matters even more. If we can manage a good teamwork, we can deliver with profit. And the third lesson, we should focus on the added value given to the clients and according to the client's needs and expectations. Those firm leaders who did not have the data to rely on, but kept on doing well with the right focus on profitability, are doing well too, by intuition, so to say. The best and the most efficient efforts were made by those leaders who kept on developing reliable financial management systems, even during the storm.
Intuition is not always reliable. I know that firsthand because I was the one a
Yes.
year ago who was predicting, oh, this pandemic, it'll be over. 2021 will be much better. And we saw what happened. Well, with the last area of law firm operations, we have seen in the past 2 years an increased interest in finding new and better configurations for the delivery of legal services. Most of these are not really innovations. They were available long before the pandemic. However, the disruptions of the pandemic forced law firms to start doing things that they probably should have been doing all along, such as more remote working, new configurations for the offices, the outsourcing of core functions like patent analysis, document review, and cybersecurity. Alexander?
Well, one remarkable thing in the new markets that I can really highlight, it's good for me if by March 2020 I had already a solid client base composed by the clients with who I could really talk about my delivery and about the ways to add value to my delivery. Then I could listen to them and think up the new configurations for the delivery because I happen to have right people with the right skills all around me. And we can really work as a team of creative people to learn, to adapt, to create, to implement new ways of delivery, new configurations. But if I have not too many clients to talk to, I had to select or even generate those few clients who could help me in developing new ways of delivery, who can just indicate what is necessary, what is needed, what are the expectations. Those firms who had made right choices as to the right clients had more chances to develop new innovative configurations for delivering high value services.
It goes back to the foundations, doesn't it? Even something as simple as a business plan.
Yeah.
We've observed that the firms that did the best in the past 2 years are firms that, among the other things that you mentioned, had something as simple as a business plan. And
Absolutely.
even firms that had a bad business plan still seem to do better because they were looking ahead, which leads us into the area of strategy. And when we get into the area of strategy, we see that one of the very first areas of concern is preparation. The way that law firms have been thinking about strategy has changed in the past 2 years in particular. We have observed a greater emphasis in planning for the next disruption or the next crisis, whether it's a pandemic, sudden economic downturn, a natural disaster, or a civil disorder. And almost all of our firm's strategic planning work with our law firm clients recently have included an element that was not always present in traditional strategic planning in law firms. And we call this strategic contingency planning, making plans for the next pandemic, making plans for things that you hope will never happen, but you'll be prepared if they do. So it involves questions such as, what will be the early warning signs? How will we need to change the way that we operate the firm? How will our clients' needs and expectations for legal services change? And how will we anticipate and respond to them? We've also observed recently a sharp increase in law firm mergers, combinations between law firms and other professional and technical advisors, and other types of best friend relationships. And these have been usually driven by one or both of the following rationales. There's a defensive rationale. We have to get bigger in order to remain competitive. And there's also the growth rationale. we have to get bigger in order to improve our performance, usually in a targeted practice area or a geographic market. And I would note that what some have called the merger frenzy is frequently driven by flawed assumptions about the future or a lack of information, to get back to Alexander's point, about the firm's true capabilities. As a counterpoint, some firms, including some of our firm's clients, are making well-informed and what have turned out to be very successful decisions to remain small and specialized. Size does not always matter. Alexander?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Some few firms can really manage very well to keep the strategic focus. I really admire your picture selection, Norman. Well, but I should admit, but only very few law firms believe that they can afford a strategic focus. Most of the law firms keep on surviving the immediate and clear dangers of the storm. It proves very hard to keep a strategic focus at least 3, 5, or even 2 years distance from now. Even if I know that the next storm might be coming, I would still need to assess what has really happened and what is going on right now to keep me afloat. We must cheer and admire the efforts to include strategic considerations into the decision-making process right now. Yes, I must be prepared for the next disruption when I assess the situation, when I'm capable to evaluate the current situation and to plan at least my next right step.
And your mention of clients and planning that next right step lead to the fifth and final trend. And this is not really new, but it appears to be much more widespread as we emerge from the pandemic. We've noted 3 things in particular from the perspective of our firm: 1 good, 1 bad, and 1 mixed. First, the pandemic has illustrated the importance of close personal relationships between law firms and their clients. One of the things we've been hearing is, my lawyer has become one of my best friends, not just on a business level, but also to a large extent on a personal level. Our interactions with clients during the pandemic have become more intimate. During our meetings with clients, we see each other's homes. We see their dogs. We see the paintings on the wall. We see their kids. And we spend more time at the beginning of meetings talking about what's going on in our personal lives than we ever did before. And this builds a stronger business relationship. The second factor is that clients are questioning whether their pre-pandemic legal service providers will be able to meet their changing needs and expectations after the pandemic is over. Law firms are struggling to overcome the traditional image of being old-fashioned and technologically backwards. And third, and this is the one that is mixed, we're beginning to observe some, I would say certainly not all, but some in-house counsel in large companies beginning to talk about renegotiating their relationship with outside counsel, particularly in 2 areas: price, no surprise, and then quality assurance. Clients increasingly are expecting law firms to meet their needs and expectations the first time and every time. There's not much tolerance or forgiveness for errors. Alexander?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for these remarks. Shall we move to the next slide, probably?
Okay, let's do that.
Because, well, I should express some high compliments to the leaders of the law firms on the new markets here with regards to developing and sustaining reliable, trustworthy, and trustful relations with the clients. Just as one good German football expert screamed about the Russian national football team during the FIFA World Cup 2018 in Russia, quote, "We are not sure if they can play football, but they do have the hell of a hunter instinct." End of quote. Leaders in the new markets are usually very good with their clients and with the strategies towards the clients. Why? because this might be the only instinct that can reliably lead them through all the challenges of a law firm management. When I missed some management competences, since I simply did not learn some necessary lessons yet, I could only try to compensate it with the right choices and decisions I can make with the clients. In this field, I can even trust my previous experience. I had always made right choices with the long-term effect. The problem with the new market is the clients, their businesses are doing not very well. The number of clients who keep thinking of developing and growing their capital is getting less significant than the number of the clients with the focus on protecting and saving their capital. This is why many law firms on the new markets might see and prefer developing long-term relations with the clients who face critical situations in their business. There are not too many clients to learn how to grow your business, to support the long-term and to implement long-term client strategies in the peaceful time, in the time of peace, so to say. But I believe that the law firm leaders on the new market did really very well by talking and developing a very high level relations with their client in within next 2 years, because it is the instinct that was the only way to survive.
Well, we have a couple of raised hands, and so Alexander, let's you and I wrap this up. We could discuss this all day, and maybe next year we will in Moscow. Today, we've probably not told you much that's really new. Most of you, probably all of you, are living these global trends and the effects on your legal markets every day. Alexander and I hope, however, that we have confirmed some of your observations, and more importantly, that we've suggested at least 5 things that should be part of your strategic thinking and management initiatives in 2022 and beyond. The most immediate question for today, December 3rd, 2021, is, do you today have the structures, systems, and information in place that you will need for tomorrow? And with that, let's see what people have to say. Vlad, I think your hand was up.
Thanks. Zoya, please. Zoya, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah? Oh, perfect. I don't know if anyone would like to add something, as Norm said that there were several hands up. So if anyone has something to add, let's give this opportunity. If not, we just continue.
And if not, if I may add some closing remarks as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Well, institutional economists make us believe that there are some cultural codes that prove characteristic for certain countries and nations. The economists and sociologists might be right in explaining, for instance, why nations with more patience and persistence, or with more respect for individual freedoms, prove to be more successful in economic growth, in a sustainable economic growth. Indeed, law firm leaders who decided to learn their business better and to run their business better by observing numerous management principles are doing and will be doing better. Law firms in our region prove very good in other dimensions, and these qualities can lead to some competitive advantages: better adaptation, mobilization, short-term or mid-term mobilization of collective efforts, and trustful partnerships. However, those excellent qualities will secure sustainable results only if you still do your homework and develop a better management culture with some strategic focus. Then you can not only survive the storm by being afloat and staying afloat, but develop and grow in a manageable manner.
Absolutely.
I have a question, if it's possible. We still have 2 minutes, for this particular part, and I'm sure that, the rest of the audience will be able to raise questions and discuss the situation with Alex and Norm during the roundtables. But one question, if it's possible. We see a lot of changes in the kind of, law firms in the West at the moment, a lot of mergers, a lot of kind of, joints kind of activities. We didn't see anything except exits on the Russian market. What do you think is the reason for this?
Question. Good question. In the West, and I'd also include Asia in the West because we've been seeing similar things there. I think it is that there in the types of law firm relationships that there are in some of the law firms in the Americas, Western Europe, and in some places in India, those relationships, I'm talking now about the internal relationships within the firm, are much more fluid. There is much less of a sense of commitment to the firm as an institution. There is also in a partner's thinking, and we think that the salaried partners are probably one area that's most vulnerable. But in partners' thinking, when a partner is considering his or her future in a law firm, the question always is, what is the business case for me to stay here?
Yeah.
And the answer tends to be highly firm specific. And usually when you see a practice group depart from one firm to another, or a group of younger partners spin off their own law firm, it's usually because they did the numbers and they believed that they had a better future on their own or with another firm than they did where they are. And I think this type of fluidity is something that it might be due in some respect to the age of some of the law firms in the West, but I think there's this greater fluidity that we see.
If I may add a couple of words, many law firms in the new markets really believe that they strive and grow, but as a matter of fact, they survive. When you are in survival mode, the only way, the only driver that can really make you stick together is just a necessity to keep warmth when it is winter coming. And this is not exactly the state of mind you want to have if you want to proceed with a successful merger or a new firm startup. There is a very interesting question in the chat. What do you recommend the firms planning implementing a startup right now? I can have a good piece of advice. Any startup of the new firm right now would be better than to remain in the poorly managed law firms. And that would be a kind of indicator for, could be a good indicator for all the startuppers in the legal business right now.
I think that is also supported by history. We have seen so many firms now in countries throughout the Americas, in countries like Turkey and the Far East, where the firms that are the leading firms today were startups 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And they started up because they decided that they had a better future in their own firm than in this old firm. And one of the characteristics of the firm that they left was that those firms tended to be, I don't want to say poorly managed, shall we say undermanaged.
Exactly.
But the other points you made, Alexander, about this idea about staying on board during times of adversity, to go back to the nautical theme of some of the paintings in our slide presentation, there comes a time when the rats leave the sinking ship.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, might be the case too.
Even the good rats.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Norman and Alexander. Well, apart from the fact that we totally love the pictures that Norman usually chooses for presentations, your report has shown that indeed external factors do have their great influence on the way the lawyers operate, on the way the lawyers deliver the service to the clients, on the way the lawyers think about the strategies for development, even on the way we interact with our clients. And as the last note that you've mentioned, it's also influenced that it also is very important, the learning process. Well, not only for startups, but for any firm. And that's why we always have to stay updated on the new business development strategies. So let me introduce Itzik Amiel, who will give us a presentation titled Switch It On, Top New Business Development Strategies to Grow Your Practice. Let me introduce Itzik. He is the CEO and founder of The Switch, an award-winning international speaker, best-selling author, business mentor, attorney at law, and recognized global expert on personal branding, business networking, client relationship, and power of community. He also is the co-chair of the IBA law firm committee's business development and marketing subcommittee. Itzik, I'm very excited to have you here with us today, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Thank you very much, Zoya. Thank you, Vlad. Thank you for all the people who participated and came to listen. I have very short, as you say here in Holland. I mean, it's short and powerful, should be, because I want to leave some nice messages in your mind. But I suggest to all of you listening now, if you change to speaker view instead of gallery view, you'll be able to watch my presentation better because it'll be happening in the box that you're sitting. And I'll start with a short little movie before I'll talk. Okay, here we go.
I just wanted to ask you which way I ought to go. Well, back to Pecha. From where? You want to get to? Well, it really doesn't matter. As long as I can. It really doesn't matter which way you go.
See, that's unfortunately the way most of the law firms, as I think Norm and Alexander mentioned, without knowing where you want to go, it doesn't matter where you want to go. But I want to show you the way you should go in order to shine and stand out. And I think those who did it before Corona time and during this last 2 years saw so much huge success that actually even many of them saying that's the best year ever they had. So I want to talk to you about things that you can implement right away in your practice after listening to me today. So you don't have to wait. Everything I'm going to share with you today, go try it, do it. Not even try it, do it. I don't believe in try, right? So in short, I'm Itzik Amiel. As you heard, I'm a lawyer and accountant in my profession. And for many years, I've been the International Tax Law Chairman. So I did in the business of tax, but I changed during the year and became a business mentor, international speaker. So one question to all of you, and please use the chat to answer. Did you change in the last 5 years? Yes or no? Just put it in the chat box, yes or no. Did you change in the last 5 years? So I don't see the answers coming. Just put yes or no. Okay, I say da, yes, yeah. Niet, yeah, da, great, yes, awesome, great. So most of you changed, right? Because a lot of things we know that did the telecommunication industry change in the last 5 years? And the answer, definitely, it changed dramatically, right? Everybody knows it changed. What about the auto industry? Did that change in the last 5 years? We all know that even the auto industry changed big time in the last 5 years, right? We know that, right? What about the pharmaceutical industry? Did that change in the last 5 years? In the last 10 years, last decade? Big time change. But what about the legal business development strategies? Did that change? Did the legal industry in general change? Everybody talking about change all the time, and nothing happened for more than a century. And that's why I want to talk to you today about new legal business development strategies that some of you say it's not new, Some of you just discover it now. I mean, I'm doing it all my life as a career as a lawyer, but it's for some of you some new way of thinking. So if you follow me till now, that's why I say it's time to switch on, because we need to switch on. All those lights was off for many years, and switching, as you know, that's why I call it switch, because you know, a switch is just on off a button. It's such a little thing. You don't need 20 years. Change, you need 20 years. To switch, you need a button in your own brain. So let me start by sharing with you what are the business development strategies that really work now in every jurisdiction, including where you are in CIS Russia, where I help dozens of firms and lawyers that doing it. So I know it works also in the practice. And let me be a bit smart here. Let me try to predict the future, right? To some of you, it's the past, but let me try to predict for you the future and share with you 7 top strategies that I know work perfectly for each of your firm in the business development. So the first question I want to ask all of you, and please answer again, use the chat box to ask, do you separate the business development and the marketing personnel, department, duties in your firm? Do you do that, or you give it to the same person? Do you separate? Say yes. If you don't separate, say no, please, in the chat. So I could see how many of you are answering yes or no. Yeah, I could see question. Answer yes, no, no. For the David said yes, Constantine no, Artem no. Interesting. I see most people say indeed no. So the first thing I will tell you in business development, you need to identify and separate. What do I mean by it? You need to switch your business development from your marketing personnel, if you have people like that in the firm, and give it to one of the two. First option, give it to your business development personnel. And that are probably totally different people in your firm. Or even better, option number 2, give it to your own hands of the lawyer in the firm, not to a separate person. It's almost like, you know, somebody tell me, can I send my wife to do my work? Of course not. If I build relationship, I'm the one who should be there every single time. I cannot outsource to somebody else. And why do I think you should separate between the business development and marketing? Simply because you need a different mindset and a different skill set to do both of them. Well, we talk about business development, we talk about building, nurturing the relationship with your client, with your partners, with the collaboration partners. But when you talk about marketing, we talk about the skill set of being found in your professional capacity, if it's online or offline. You see, it's a totally different skill set. Of course, same person can do it, but most probably it's better to do it by 2 separate entities in the firm. Second business development strategy I want you to think about is inserting business development as a client engaging process. That's the second engaging thing that I want. And why do I think so? Because the more you know your clients, and I hope you do that, you invest a lot on knowing your client, the more the interaction you have with your client, make it more tailor-made and more personal to them. And that's what the client expects from us. So business development should be part of the client engagement, client experience, client involvement strategies. Here's examples. You can invite them to a special event. You can send them an item of value to them, even a postcard, handwritten postcard. You can share with them interesting article. All those things are very valuable things. Each one of us can do, costs us nothing, and you create business development within your interactions with your clients. And why do I recommend you warmly to do that? Because you become more efficient, you become more valuable to your clients, you become more pleasant to do that. It's fun, and you'll be top of mind, which is a lot of you are not, because you're going there, you meet somebody, you forget about them for 20 years, maybe they remember me one day. It doesn't work this way. You need to be top of mind of the other people you're building relationship. And that's the easiest way. And at the same time, you're doing business development. Strategy number 3, focus your connections. You need to focus your connections. Here's another question for you. So please help me out in the chat. How many connections do you think you can keep in touch on a regular basis? Can you give me a number? One number. How many connections can you keep on a regular basis? Anybody have a number? Just give me a number. 10 million, 10, 2,000, 20 to 40 is what I said. How many people can you keep in touch on a regular basis? 40 I hear. Evgenia. Anybody else? 20, 100, 10, 20. 50. Wow, you're all humble people. Very nice. So here's, do you know who is this guy? Anybody know who's this guy? Who's this person? This person's name is Professor Robin Dunbar. Professor Robin Dunbar found out a very interesting thing. He did a research offline, online, and proved to be that we cannot maintain more than 150 connections at the same time. If you really look, you know probably thousands of people already. But how many people do you really keep in touch and building relationships? Maximum 150 people. You see, that's why I'm saying you need to switch from a wide, a shallow, trying to meet everybody, to very focused and deep relationship with a very specific people. I know what your problem is. The problem is you don't know who they are. Okay, but that's a different story. I can help you later on. But if you know who they are, deep the relationship with these people. Strategy number 4, know your numbers. I mean, we are lawyers tend not, as I told you, I'm a lawyer and accountant, it's no big deal. But for a lot of lawyers, numbers, what are you talking about? If you do not know what is your business development return on investment, you keep sponsoring event, you go to event, you go travel the world, you spend money, you get hopes. And hopes are not strategy. I want you to know your number. If I invest that, if I do that, that's what I get out of it. And that means if I want to have more of that, I do more of that. And why do you need to know your number? Because if you know your number, you learn what works, what doesn't work, and then you skip those. If you know your number, you'll have more growth in your practice. But here's the most important thing. If you know your number, you tell your practice story. And remember, facts tell, stories sell. Number 5, invest in your branding. And you see that because that's actually my core of my business. And I help companies, I help lawyers build their standing out, build the personal branding, build the corporate branding, because that's one of the things you could do in such a crowded marketplace. What are you known for? What is your distinct point of view? This is personal branding. And what is your practice? What your law firm known for? This is the corporate branding. And for those of you who think, oh my God, I don't want to have my personal branding, one of the biggest problems in the law firms, trust me, it works all together. They work so much together, it becomes so much powerful that client following you. Client don't care about the leadership of the firm. Client care about the employees. The leadership can come from within. And that's where the personal branding take a big place. And here's a secret to some of you do not know about personal branding and corporate branding. This is one of the best corporate business development strategy, because your unique business development approach, the business development approach you take, that's a formula to stand out of the crowd. And that's by itself a personal branding. So that's why business development is connected directly to the branding of your practice. And if you don't do it, if you don't invest that, if you invest your money on all kind of other things, you're wasting your time. Number 6, implement attention leadership. You had Norman and Alexander talking about it around it. My best-selling book called The Attention Switch. One of the things we know very much, that our time goes down and down. So many things come to your life. You become so much crowded. So many things demand your attention. And that's why we have limited attention. You have limited attention to the people you want to give. And thank you for your attention now that you give it to me, listening to me. So you're in charge to decide who you want to give attention to. So why don't you start looking at it? Because attention is such a powerful thing in building relationship in business development. This is, by the way, I don't know if you say it in Russian, but I know in English you say you pay attention. It's a monetary term. You can pay with it if you know how to use it right. So I want you to learn how to give attention to people, and don't follow all those people are online. You see them on social media trying to get attention, because the maximum they get a like, they don't get any business. So don't look at that. Look at behind the scenes on the relationship you develop. How many people you called last week and said, how are you? And that's the end of it. How many do it on a regular basis? That's where you get long-term relationship. And when you do that, by the way, it's not necessarily means you need more time, my dear friends. Sometimes it's 1 minute. So it's not that you need more time to give more attention. And number 7, change your focus. What do I mean by that? Change your focus. I want you to change the focus of your business development in your practice, of your firm, of your career, from more practice focus to very, very honestly, that's the easiest thing, client focus. I mean, I talked the other day for a bunch of universities, and universities pretend us to teach us to become how to think as a lawyer. Isn't that crazy? I don't need to think as a lawyer. I need to think as a client to solve the problem. I don't need to think as a lawyer to find the problem, no have solution. So I need you to be more client focused. Now it's so old-fashioned thinking here, because all other industries, and if you look at other industries like the hospitality industry, client be called guest, because they're all-time client focused. It's the time that our industry will change, will become more client focused. And here's an example. Even if you're pitching on a specific capability, instead of talking about on your own firm, how great you are, how many people, start talking about your strategic approach of dealing with your clients. How do you serve them? Put that as part of your pitch, because that's what the client cares. They don't care how many partners you have and how much money you make, because that's a bunch of stuff about you. Remember, you want to give attention. Here are two observations almost at the end of my presentation today. One, we notice that the practice of law is shrinking wherever you are in the world, while the business of delivering legal services is growing up. More parties coming to our big four, other companies coming to our industry to deliver legal services. And here my observation is business development will not going to be specific department of the firm. It will be everybody's skill. So if you do not know how to do it, you must do it, because it's important to have it as a skill and not as somebody you outsource it to. The second observation, our firm, we're not going to be a legal advice factories anymore. It become a live learning center that your clients come as a hub to learn, to refresh, to get new ideas. And if you're thinking as a law firm as a new way of thinking, my observation here, you need to transition from a short-term advice to a long-term relationship centers for your clients. And that's where you put all your efforts on your existing client, not trying to get new ones, get the one that you have, give them a bear hug that they cannot release from you and leave you. Now, that's why I believe it's time now to switch on. Take all those things, implement even one of them, and see the result you get in your practice. But here's the last word. It is not enough in our days, absolutely not enough, to be a professional competence or to have an excellent client service. These are all costs of entry. If you don't have them, you don't even get to play in the market. These are costs of entry. What we need nowadays is robust business development to stand out. And how do you do that? You learn to systemize your business development efforts by all the things I told you today. So learn to be more effective, not only efficient. And that's, as Peter Drucker said, one of the manager guru, efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. And almost at the end, I know a lot of you laughing at me. It's like, you're crazy, you're dreaming, it doesn't work. I cannot do it. I don't have time for all of it. So remember, the last thing I want to tell you today, if that's what you're thinking, if you think you're busy, you heard me saying it many times, and I say it again, busy is the new stupid. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Itzik. Thank you. That's a great presentation. And it's always a pleasure to listen to you. And it's so many kind of interesting news and ideas, including, frankly speaking, your very innovative way of making the presentations. Thanks a lot. And I'm sure that... So you have to send us, the reference to this kind of, technical advantages that you are able to use.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Vlad.
But speaking about the technology and lawyers, probably one question to you. I think it's one of the troubles that, lawyers are always facing. We're very, I would say, conservative sometimes in our profession, and we're sometimes even more conservative in the technological development. So I'm sure that it's impossible to be advanced without technology in the current world. So what would be your recommendation?
So it's a beautiful question, Vlad, because, we have it in every discussion we have with lawyers. And here's a secret for you, a lot of you do not know. Before becoming a lawyer, I was IT programmer. I'm actually computer in my background. That's why I'm different than lawyer, no one lawyer. So actually, I'm happy about this time where we are, because all my skills coming together, the creativity, computer, legal. But here's the real answer. The real answer is escape route. If you go now and invest your money on all kind of technology tools, these are just tools. These are not strategies. I mean, I dearly believe there's so many things to do without technology, that technology just can't help. I know a lot of firms invested in things like CRM system. And I for years said, don't invest time. I was in the board of CRM association. I said, don't buy a CRM system. First 10 teach the lawyer to build relationship, to follow up. When to do that? And they realize, oh my God, I have so many relationships. What should I do? Now go get them the system. Go get them the tech to help them. But before that, if you buy the system, a lot of you bought systems like that, it's a dead horse. You cannot change your habit in one day. The lawyer has to fill system. We hate to fill systems. So, I mean, a lot of the tools, the way they approach lawyers as the software, instead of showing you the end results, they're trying to sell you a solution. And that doesn't work. I mean, so technology is here to help us. And I absolutely agree you should use technology, but don't be afraid of that. First, do things without it. Realize you need things to become more faster. As I said, you need system in your business. If you don't have system, you cannot approach. But if you have system, you'll be able to follow up with thousands of people every day. You'll be able to be there without being there. You'll be able to dedicate the time to really the people you need to be physically. You'll be with them and without ignoring nobody. So that's specifically on business relationships. So the answer for you is stop looking at tech. Tech is escape to those who do not know how to build relationships. Tech is escape to those people who are afraid to deal with the real answers. The people in the offices, your client, that's the thing that brings the matter. Your referrals, that's what brings you to business, not the tools. The tools cannot do nothing to you without the stuff. And here's the last secret here. You know yourself that a lot of the tools will not work because if garbage in, garbage out. If people in the firm put in those tools, things that not necessarily, you're not going to get what you want. So why do you buy the tools? Change first the environment, change the culture of the firm. Let people understand what is to work together. I escaped law firm because of the environment, because it was eating environment, competition. People didn't like each other instead of celebrating each other. And that's the reason. But if you do that, everything becomes so much easier. You share, you own, you collaborate, and your competitors are becoming your collaboration partners. So mindset here is very important. Tools, alas, according to me, definitely look at them, but you don't have to buy them.
Thank you. That's a great relief, both mentally and from the budget point of view, at least for some of us. Thank you, Itzik.
Can I slip in a question using my position? Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Oh, great. It's an interesting thing you've mentioned in your presentation. You said that it's important to find your own style of business development, that's the key to branding, right? But the thing is, I've heard so many times, so many of my colleagues saying the same thing. They say, I have no idea how I'm different from the rest. I deliver the same services. I'm just the same as everybody else. So I think it's difficult for some people, right? So do you have any advice to those who feel a bit lost in finding their own style?
I mean, I love the question again, because, my teaching is about personal branding. And when I teach personal branding, there are three, of course, 3 steps. And the first step is discover. The second is design and define. The 2 other steps are so easy to do. The hardest from all is discover. Discover what I call the distant point of view. These things that you call makes you unique. Now, the problem with lawyer in the legal industry, when you go out of legal industry is easier, but in the legal industry, it's hard to people to go out of the comfort zone. And I'll give you an example. If Zoya, you are the best salsa dancer, that's your distant point of view. If you are a better cheesecake maker, you see, when I said that to you, a lot of lawyers now lost interest in me because, what are you talking about? I'm a lawyer. So differentiation doesn't have to happen in your place of expertise. Because when people come to listen to you because you teach them, I don't know what recipe of cheesecake, only client who love cheesecake would not going to go to some lawyer who love chocolate cake. But because it's not in the comfort of a lot of lawyers, it's very hard to lawyer to observe it. Now, within the industry, you have to make also a difference between niching your practice when building your personal brand. It's also a different thing. You can still be a generalist. And I suggest warmly now in the Corona time, don't try to practice very niche because clients come with a lot of problems. You better be a source of help for clients and everything they want instead of niching yourself and maybe they don't need it now because you lose client, you lose relationship. Let alone niche it yourself. But personal branding is the art of standing out of the crowd. And that's based on one of the hardest part, Zoya. And I think you know it because you heard me saying it many times. And it's the word that too many times people misuse is authenticity. How difficult it is to be yourself. For me, it took 22 years. 22 years to admit on stages that I love people. How long it will take you to be you?
Right.
And
it's a bit about bringing out your human parts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's easier than people think, but I said it's not simple. So it's to get people close to themselves, to stand up with them. And then when they know you are the only one like you in the world, it's very easy to stand up. You see, but
I still remember when I met you first time, we were talking about my drawings and you said, why you never exposed your drawings? And I said, who cares about my drawings? And you say, oh, you should. I still remember
you took yourself as example. If you were making a gallery of all your amazing drawing and people come to the gallery, guess what? All those people come to the gallery who love also painting, need the lawyer. So,
wow.
and there will you're around, your competitors will not be around. And all of those people will start connecting you based on that. It's so easier than you think, but we are scared to do that. I know, I'm aware of that. So I think that's an easy kind of digging people. But when you start, and by the way, a lot of you there are listening in CIS country in Russia, it's your time, because a lot of people, unfortunately, and all the international people listening to us here have different opinion because they never met Russian lawyer, met CIS country lawyer. Go change the mind. Go meet people around the world. They show them how amazing. They think, oh, they don't speak English. Are you kidding me? You know, they talk about people from the CS Russia don't care about relationship. You know very well you care. If you don't have 6 vodkas and Nazdarovia, there was no relationship bonded, right? So that's the thing you need. You're ambassador of your country, of your culture, and those things by itself, it differentiates yourself. I think that's enough, because I guess we need time for other people. And we'll see.
Great. Thank you very much.
Courage is a summary. It takes courage,
Thank you very
both to do the introspection and to bring it out to the world.
Thank you very much.
And next time we hope to see you in person, and to get this personal connection even more personal.
I promise.
Good. Good. Our next speaker is one of the most well-known lawyers in Russia, I believe, Elena Avakyan, who is actually the vice president of the Federal Advocates of Russia, and she is one of the most well-known persons who was actually very much involved in the development of the legislation of the Russian Federation, who is actually very much supporting the changes and the development of the Russian legal system, and changes that are happening in the legal system. And Elena is a very, very knowledgeable person in connection with the Russian legal market. And our question to her, how exactly she see the role of the legal community in Russia and CIS countries, and how exactly she believes would be the best way for the legal community to develop in the current situation.
Добрый день, коллеги. С вашего позволения буду говорить по-русски.
Lena, you're absolutely right. Sorry for a second. I would just like to remind people, so if you want to go back to English, push interpretation icon, push English, and you will hear everything Elena is saying in English. Thank you.
Добрый вечер, уважаемые коллеги. В настоящий момент ситуация на юридическом рынке России, она достаточно двояка. Вы наверняка знаете, что в России отсутствует профессиональное представительство, и как следствие у нас юридический рынок разделен на две неравные части. Это адвокаты и, так скажем, свободные юристы. Поскольку юридическая профессия в России на сегодняшний день практически никак не регулируется, адвокатура традиционно регулируется, то эти две части крайне неравномерны. Единственное ограничение, которое есть сегодня, они так или иначе затрагивают адвокатов. Юристы, то есть лица с высшим юридическим образованием, коих по разным оценкам на сегодняшний день около 2 миллионов человек, так или иначе взаимодействуют с обществом, оказывая различные виды юридических услуг. Большая их часть, конечно, сосредоточена в in-house и в государственных учреждениях. Поэтому развитие как таковое рынка России, оно непосредственно связано с ответом на вопрос, каким образом будет регулироваться в будущем юридическая профессия, и если она будет регулироваться, то кто будет, собственно, участвовать в этом регулировании и на каких основаниях это регулирование будет осуществляться. Надо сказать, что последние лет 10 на моей памяти обсуждается концепция регулирования рынка юридической помощи, и вся эта концепция так или иначе сводилась к необходимости введения адвокатской монополии в различных ее видах и формах. От самой light монополии, то есть монополии на судебное представительство, до более серьезных видов монополии, то есть монополии на любые виды юридических консультаций. Для большинства присутствующих здесь иностранных коллег в этих словах нет ничего странного или чего-то угрожающего. Большинство коллег и сегодня живет ровно в такой парадигме регулирования, и странно, наверное, слышать, что в России, в общем, любой человек с высшим юридическим образованием может начать представлять интересы клиента на любых уровнях судопроизводства. Поэтому сегодня говорить об однородности регулирования рынка, к сожалению, не приходится. Тем не менее, помимо того, что у нас вот есть еще вот такое давление, я бы так сказала, посторонней среды, у нас существует еще и давление правоохранительных органов всех видов и форм в связи с попытками постоянного вмешательства в гонорарную политику адвокатов и гонорарную политику юридических фирм. попытки пересмотра справедливости гонораров, причем попытки этих пересмотров не в гражданско-правовом, а в уголовно-правовом ракурсе, ну, конечно, приводят к катастрофической нестабильности в данном конкретном сегменте, потому что в отсутствии правил игры мы можем оказаться частью некой уголовно-правовой истории, причем не можем при этом однозначно утверждать, что даже если мы сделали все правильно в соответствии с наилучшими мировыми практиками, нам не предъявят завышенность цен, просто потому что какой-то местечковый бухгалтер решил, что средняя стоимость работы адвоката в суде составляет 3000 рублей за процесс. Мы видели эти заключения, и на сегодняшний день с этим активно боремся. Надо отметить, что Федеральная палата адвокатов, в частности, разработала правила применения гонорара успеха, которые благополучно сегодня юридические компании пытаются применять по аналогии в случае возникновения споров. Сегодня рассматривается вопрос о выработке стандартов. То есть в настоящий момент мы стремимся к некому саморегулированию профессии. Но, конечно, этого недостаточно для того, чтобы появилась некая стабильность. Поэтому, говоря о взаимодействии юридического российского рынка с внешним рынком, можно сказать следующее. Есть целый пул великих юридических российских фирм, которые благополучно и сегодня взаимодействуют с внешним миром, представляя интересы иностранных участников, представляя интересы российских участников за пределами российского контура. И общая нестабильность регулирования профессии здесь, в России, на их best practices, которые были все заимствованы так или иначе с наилучших практик зарубежных, никак не влияет. А при этом, конечно, мы все осознаем, что та степень заурегулированности юридического бизнеса, которая сегодня существует во многих развитых юрисдикциях, нам тоже не очень была бы нужна. Все-таки мы хотели бы, поскольку вступаем в этот процесс одними из последних, пройти его по наиболее лайт-варианту, не проходить через все те грабли, которые уже пройдены нашими коллегами по цеху у нас в иностранных юрисдикциях. Поэтому сегодня ищем равновесную, пытаемся соответствовать вызовам времени. Ну и самое главное, здесь очень много говорилось о том, что сегодня юристы очень подвержены влиянию цифровых технологий. Вот хотелось бы отметить, коллеги, что в большинстве развитых юрисдикций мира идеи legal-tech проектов идут от юридических фирм. Россия в этом смысле страна уникальная. У нас большинство legal-tech проектов разрабатывается заказчиками, то бишь крупным бизнесом, который создает legal-tech проекты для обеспечения функционирования своей юридической функции. И, как правило, эти legal-tech проекты не предлагаются рынку. На сегодняшний день legal-tech проектов, разработанных юридическими фирмами, в общем, я бы насчитала их, наверное, 7-8 на всю страну. И, опять же, они внутренние, они не предлагаются рынку. Рынку предлагаются продукты, разработанные программистами для юристов. Это тоже уникальная ситуация. И, в общем-то, сопротивление внедрению legal-tech на стороне российского юридического бизнеса, оно достаточно сильно прослеживается. Ситуация несколько изменилась за последние пару лет, но до сих пор вот эта вот попытка не допустить в конкуренцию машину и конкурировать с ней, а не друг с другом за доступ к технологии, к их пониманию, она, конечно, кажется мне, человеку, который занимается legal-техом, занимался legal-техом даже тогда, когда слова такого не было, да? А вот мне это несколько странно и очень тяжело даже мне переубеждать коллег в том, что угроза исходит, если она вообще исходит, не от машины. Угроза исходит от неумения ей пользоваться и проигрывания конкуренции еще до начала входа из-за непонимания того, каким образом эти конкурентные отношения в новой цифровой реальности складываются. Спасибо большое за внимание, коллеги.
Большое спасибо. Слышно меня, да?
Да.
Елена, большое спасибо вам за комментарии о состоянии российского юридического рынка. Действительно, российское юридическое сообщество находится на стадии разработки, как мы услышали от Елены, принципов и механизмов саморегулирования. А теперь мы предлагаем вам погрузиться более подробно уже в вопросы, которые волнуют лидеров юридического сообщества не только в России, но и за рубежом.
У нас сегодня очень любопытный такой, я бы сказал, частичный эксперимент. Частично, я думаю, что first night, когда мы будем Печу Кучу делать на английском языке, извиняюсь, на онлайн-конференции. И у нас будет два языка, английский и русский. Но вот за последний год уже практически мы провели 7 онлайн-дискуссий, каждая из них была по-своему интересна и уникальна. И с этой точки зрения, я думаю, что нам будет очень интересно такой получить summary всего этого, всех этих дискуссий. И мы попросили специально лидеров этих дискуссий представить в очень коротком формате бриф той информации, которая была обсуждена во время непосредственно самих дискуссий. И вы сможете задать более конкретные вопросы уже на дальнейших круглых столах, которые будут у нас в формате Рима. А сейчас я хотел бы передать слово Татьяне Гончаровой, которая расскажет про одну из первых дискуссий, которая у нас была.
Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги. Я Татьяна Гончарова, управляющий партнер юридической компании Ellex Новосибирск. Я представляю выводы сессии, которые модерировал Александр Khvoshchinsky в июне этого года. Александр попросил меня, как участника этой сессии, представить ее результаты. Сессия называлась «Корректируем компенсацию в юридическом бизнесе». И передо мной очень сложная задача, поскольку на сессии, кроме моего кейса, мы обсуждали еще 8 интереснейших бизнес-кейсов, в которых лидеры юридического рынка делились своим опытом. И в общий чат я выложу ссылочку на эту сессию. Обязательно посмотрите ее целиком, потому что она очень полезна, и вы почерпнете в ней много интересного. Посмотрите, какой замечательный список спикеров. Мне было действительно очень сложно отобрать самые ценные открытия из нескольких десятков, представленных коллегами по модернизации компенсационных систем в различных обстоятельствах, на различных этапах своих фирм. Я сама выступала на этой сессии и представляла свой кейс. И мой главный вывод: если я хочу роста и расширения партнерства, я обязательно уделяю необходимое внимание качественным производственным процессам, дающим желаемый финансовый результат и создающим условия для роста новых лидеров, умея считать свой бизнес и понимать жизненные приоритеты своих лучших людей. Дмитрий Сонкин: хочешь иметь в фирме самых умных производительных людей? Привлекай их самыми лучшими условиями для высокопроизводительной работы. Договоритесь друг с другом и с клиентами о том, что вы работаете 4 дня в неделю, но зато работаете в идеальных условиях для эффективной работы. Даже сервер можно выключить в этом случае. Владимир Сальников: основа крепкого партнерства – качественная управленческая финансовая система, в создании которой партнеры инвестируют и время, и прибыль. И только такой реформы можно добиться исполняемой модели компенсации для партнерского соглашения. Денис Литвинов: ключевые выводы для успеха реформы компенсационной системы – качественный финансовый учет, доверие друг к другу, поэтапность проведения реформы, лучше понятными шагами с результатами в течение 2 лет, нежели быстро и неправильно. Татьяна Каменская: если хочешь, чтобы социальный пакет для сотрудников соответствовал их действительным пожеланиям и потребностям, будь готова в обстановке взаимного доверия совершенствовать этот пакет, ориентируясь на четко понимаемые задачи бизнеса и изменяющуюся обстановку вокруг. Александр Ермоленко: большое и зрелое партнерство должно быть готово к вызовам изменяющихся обстоятельств и изменяющегося поведения самих партнеров. На первый план в этом случае выходит достижение и сохранение согласия всех партнеров в отношении общих целей, что именно должны делать партнеры в этом большом совместном бизнесе. Вячеслав Земчихин: преобразование адвокатской практики в юридическую фирму потребовало радикальной реформы компенсационной системы. И для такой реформы необходимо согласие партнеров о самых базовых условиях своей собственной компенсации. Нина Бойер: в основе сбалансированной модели компенсации партнеров и сотрудников лежит качество принимаемых управленческих решений. Поэтому важно убедиться, что рядом с тобой именно те люди, которые хорошо делают свое дело и постоянно учатся делать его еще лучше, в том числе и принимать более качественные управленческие решения. Владислав Забродин. Решение о компенсации – это решение в первую очередь о мотивации людей. Представления о справедливости всегда будет много, а бизнес-показатели меняются. Поэтому будь готов сначала переосмыслить свою стратегию, тактику, и подобрать такую систему управления мотивацией, которая всегда бы напоминала партнерам о необходимости следить за различными параметрами исполнения. Александр Khvoshchinsky подвел итоги этой сессии и сделал выводы о том, что нужны только хорошие люди, финансовый учет, контроль, учет особенных вызовов. Опираемся в реформах на лидеров, прежде всего на лидеров, ясность в отношении них и затем в отношении всех других. И сейчас и всегда очень важно иногда просто взять и деятельно позаботиться о своих людях в непростые времена. И как сейчас подчеркнул также Александр, важно правильные люди и их понимание. И, коллеги, еще раз призываю пересмотреть сессию. Уверена, что примеры лидеров юридического рынка помогут найти ответы на многие непростые вопросы, которые стоят перед теми, кто на этапе проведения изменений компенсационных систем. Ну и российских коллег я сегодня поздравляю с праздником, с Днем юриста. Желаю всех успехов в нашем непростом и благородном деле. Спасибо за внимание.
И мы идем дальше. Евгения Бондаренко, налоговый консультант, управляющий партнер компании «Консалт», Новосибирск. Это был наш завершающий вебинар. Мы говорили разные варианты. У нас были соцсети, помощники, родители или нет. Можете посмотреть. Только за неделю благодаря соцсетям у нас было больше 100 просмотров. Я считаю, это результат. И дальше углубляемся. Кто же у нас были спикеры? Спикеры все огонь. Каждому можно петь долго дифирамбы, но Виктория, Дарья, они действительно в Инстаграме, 40-90 тысяч подписчиков. Елена Ершова, вы знаете, редактор корпоративного юриста, и две легенды. Да, есть в Википедии. Много было инсайтов, поделюсь. Первое. Быть, а не казаться. Просто те, кто есть действительно в соцсетях, они могут увидеть медиа-юристов, так называемых. И там много мыльных пузырей. Что такое мыльный пузырь, когда у вас бывает даже снимаются на фоне чужой машины, да, и создают контент. Надо сначала заработать славу, накачать мышцы, тогда ты будешь экспертом. Мы вывели формулу, что же такое личный бренд. 90% экспертности, может быть разные вариации, но обязательно уникальность личности. И умноженное на охват. То есть охват людей, которые в действительности вас знают. И соцсети помогают увеличить такой охват. У вас может быть своя пропорция. Какие же инструменты рабочие? Что такое нативная реклама? Самое ключевое слово здесь – это польза для целевой аудитории. Елена Ершова очень нам хорошо, подробно рассказывала. Это статьи, это может быть книги, это в любом случае публикации профессиональных СМИ. Нативная реклама работала и будет работать. Не надо ей пренебрегать. Также у нас были другие инструменты продвижения личного бренда, опять же, про офлайн. Выступаем на конференциях, мы все это любим, и это нужно делать. Преподавать в вузах, выступать в каких-то бесплатных бизнес-проектах, проводить семинары. Отличные инструменты, которые создают и подтверждают вашу экспертность. В офлайне, соответственно, в соцсетях вы это также можете транслировать. Что нужно все-таки обратить внимание? Это качественное выступление. Громче. Хорошо, буду громче. Качественное выступление, речь, визуал, презентация. Itzik, шикарная презентация. Мы все захотели взять мастер-класс у него. И надо понимать еще, вводить в систему политику внешних и внутренних коммуникаций компании, кто с кем, когда. Очень много важных инсайтов. Для чего же нам нужен бренд? Вот мы обсуждали такую ситуацию, сейчас, может быть, нам партнеры скажут. Если к вам придет человек и скажет, я вам приду клиентов, буду генерировать поток 40 миллионов в год. Возьмете такого партнера, и при этом у него хорошая репутация. Ну, скорее всего, да. И когда бренд, он работает на человека, можно стать партнером, хорошо трудоустроиться. Соцсети, они помогают офлайн-экспертам. Можно узнать об экспертизе, можно увидеть особенности личности, потому что личности и наши особенности мы влюбляемся в людей и в их особенности. И создается доверие, и укрепляется офлайн-позиция. Поэтому, наверное, они не вредители. Рабочие инструменты в сети мы перечисляли абсолютно разные, да, это YouTube-каналы, Telegram-каналы. Тот, кто не верит в Facebook, в Instagram и все остальные, они активно создают Telegram-каналы. Например, Сергей Геннадьевич Попеляев рассказывал, у них 4 Telegram-канала. Странички в соцсетях, публикации в сторис, это активно используется новым поколением юристов. Нам, наверное, тоже на это нужно смотреть. Что касается тем табу, ну, можно насчет этого списка только спорить уже сейчас. Да. На самом деле ключевое это пункт 6. Темы и фото, которые вы боитесь, что вас будут хейтить, писать какие-то негативные комментарии. Хотите нажить голое тело, пожалуйста, если не боитесь каких-то комментариев, не боитесь, что пострадает ваш экспертный внешний вид. Что же можно делать? Полезный контент, про это помним, не ярмарка тщеславия, да, не путайте с этим, полезный именно для читателя. Ну и нужно показывать свою жизнь настолько, насколько вы можете ее показать, потому что мы влюбляемся в людей. И все. И можно поставить здесь точку. Мы же проводили опрос, потому что у нас был спор. Деньги, ради денег мы пришли в профессию, или мы все-таки пришли оказывать помощь и получать свою сатисфакцию в этом. У нас победило 67% все-таки ради помощи, оказания помощи. И будем надеяться, что так и сохранится именно в профессии юриста. И наши ценности они притягивают других людей. Это тоже важно, это цитата Владислава Забродина, в принципе, мы все с этим согласились. И опять же, мы про соцсети, здесь вот ссылочка на этот вебинар, его можно посмотреть, прослушать и сделать для себя какие-то еще дополнительные выводы. Спасибо. В любом случае, у нас эта конференция и практика вебинара будет продолжаться. Здесь также ссылка на мои аккаунт в Инстаграме, потому что мы тоже про соцсети. Есть такая фраза, да, контент сам себя не сделает. Это тоже из нового поколения юристов, и многие уже эту формулу поняли.
Здравствуйте, коллеги. Мы разговаривали про рост партнеров юридической фирмы. Возможен ли этот рост быть целенаправленным? Можем ли мы что-то сделать для того, чтобы вырастить кого-то? И может ли сам человек поставить перед собой цель вырастить партнера юридической фирмы? Мы пригласили на этот разговор экспертов. Это Софья Дударева, которая тренер по переговорам, Максим Гурман, дипломированный юрист и психолог, и Александр Khvoshchinsky, которого все знают, стратегический и управленческий консультант. Для того, чтобы обсудить, собственно, с ним вопрос, а можете ли вы, тренеры, коучи, консультанты и психологи, помочь кому-то целенаправленно расти? Какую компетенцию, что могут помочь сделать люди, которых мы можем пригласить помочь себе? И основной вопрос, который мы поставили перед нашими гостями, это, а можно ли вообще научить быть лидером? Потому что иногда кажется, что лидером надо родиться, это харизма, это энергия, это интересы. Поэтому мы ответили, что лидером можно научиться. И Соня говорит о том, что для того, чтобы научиться быть лидером, юристам нужно научиться договариваться. Потому что юристы считают, что они умеют это делать, но вообще-то они умеют спорить и аргументировать свои позиции, а не договариваться. Поэтому нужно увидеть в других людях людей и начать с ними разговаривать. Максим поставил вопрос, а какие два таких самых важных качества, которые должны быть у лидера, партнера юридической фирмы, без чего партнер не может состояться? И мы можем сейчас оглянуться вокруг себя и понять, что это обязательная энергия и высокая цель. И когда мы разговаривали с Александром, в основном мы коснулись того, что сам бизнес, в котором растут люди, должен расти. Все должны, участники, текущие лидеры, расти, потому что только растущий бизнес может воспитать новых лидеров и транслировать свое ДНК. Мы говорили о конкретных, и Максим, и Александр, и Софья предлагали какие-то конкретные действия, какие-то конкретные инструменты, которые можно применять непосредственно к себе, либо к своим коллегам. И в общем сошлись на том, что нужно посмотреть сначала вглубь себя, потому что лидерство – это трансформация. Потом увидеть человека в другом и найти с ним общий интерес, договориться. И для того, чтобы расти, нужно построить стратегию развития своей компании на 25 лет. То есть любой рост лидеров – это комплексное развитие компании на нескольких планах. Потому что невозможно ни зайти снаружи, ни только снаружи, не только зайти изнутри. Обязательно необходимо глубоко посмотреть в нижний мир, в глубину своего партнерского подсознания. Обязательно необходимо понять на самом деле те глубокие препятствия, что стоит на пути твоей трансформации, что стоит на пути трансформации другого человека. Очень важно на самом деле найти способ разговаривать с другими людьми такой, который позволил бы разделить общие цели. И тогда мы сможем в серединном мире в взаимоотношениях с партнерами двигаться к новому. И в верхнем мире, в воплощении мечты, стремлений и предпринимательской идеи нужно поставить глобальную, большую, высокую цель, которая поможет вдохновить других людей и повести их за собой, за этой целью. Поэтому, на мой взгляд, мы пришли к выводу, что, по большому счету, можно и помогать лидерам расти, помогать это делать с помощью консультантов. И самое важное, что, конечно, всегда можно расти самому, и этот цикл будет бесконечный. Все время смотреть вглубь себя, смотреть вокруг себя и смотреть далеко в будущее. Большое спасибо.
Спасибо, Нина. Уважаемые участники, внимание, объявление. Сейчас мы поменяем язык основного канала на английский. Поэтому, если вам нужен перевод на русский язык, пожалуйста, переключитесь на другой канал в панели управления.
Hi, everybody. My name is Katerina Gupalo, Artsinger Law Firm, Kyiv, Ukraine. And we were talking about diversity and inclusion. Is it the must, or is it just a new trend of nowadays? So basically, we started from understanding the concept of diversity, because there is a still stereotype that diversity, it's only about gender equality. But during our discussion, we found out that it's not only about gender. And also what was interesting to find out that there are still a lot of local peculiarities for race, language, religion, sexual orientation. For example, for me, it was a surprise, but it's evident that sexual orientation is a taboo in Islamic countries, and etc. After identifying the understanding of local peculiarities of diversity, we tried to figure out what actually the diversity is. And we will switch to the next slide. Is it advantages for minorities, or should it be like equal opportunities for everybody? And as a result of our discussion, we found out the following formula, which is about equal opportunities for everybody. It's about respect for each and every category, and it's about zero tolerance to harassment and to discrimination. And when it's applicable, we were focused on HR issues, so on all stages of HR, as recruitment, hiring of personnel, promotion, compensation, and even termination. It really matters that there shouldn't be discrimination on that basis. And it's actually, this slide is my improvisation, but as a woman and mother, I just couldn't skip this quite famous picture that demonstrate challenges in terms of diversity. So why to be diverse? A couple of reasons. McKinsey states that gender and ethnic diverse companies, they have better performance, and well, figures speak of itself when diversity wins. The other reason shows that diverse team shows better decision makers, and this data is based on Forbes publication. So it means that even sort of minority is better heard of. Also, it's about innovation, and because representative of minorities, they have better understanding of clients' needs, and they help companies to perform better. Despite all this impressive data, McKinsey found out that business still is not impressed by those perspectives, and diversity and inclusion has still a lot room for improvement. That's why we found out other reasons to promote diversity inclusion in legal market. In some countries, it's legislative requirements. For example, I heard that in UK there is a requirement like percentage of women in the board of directors. We saw also tender requirements, and also to mention legal rankings are paying attention to it. How to develop diversity inclusion policies and its adjustment to local peculiarities. Diversity inclusion officer, pay attention to your business partners' policies. And if you are still skeptical, please join our networking table, where we will develop more on diversity and inclusion topic. So join us at World Cafe format. And thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Martijn Lesterhuis, and I'm going to talk you through the compliance webinar we had a few weeks ago. I'm from Venturis Consulting Group, and we are a consulting firm exclusively focused on the legal sector. So if we look at the compliance webinar we had, that was on 7 October, we had it for about 1.5 hours with lively discussions. The focus was completely on law firms in Eastern Europe. We had a lot of participants and also quite a strong panel with 2 moderators on it. So let me introduce them to you. If we look at the panelists, those were Alexander Schwartz of Kleis Lutz, Ori Chen of Yunhei, Mark Jones of Travis Smith, Martin Simovart of Cobalt, and myself. And we had 2 moderators, which were Ilona Sekeli and Karl Hepp de Sevelinje. So if we look at the program that we had, we had 4 subtopics on compliance. We started off with the organization of compliance in law firms. We moved on to conflicts of interest. We spoke on confidentiality. And finally, we spoke on know your customer requirements. So let's now first go to the first one, the organization of compliance. First, we took some time to look at the different compliance areas that are there that you need to look at. So those are areas around being client-related, matter-related, firm-related, and a bit more overall if you think about IT compliance and also financial compliance. Then we moved on to discussing the tooling that law firms use when looking at compliance. So we see a lot of different toolings that are there, and especially we had some talk about all the tools with access to all relevant regulations, so lawyers actually understand what they need to do and then what they need to think about. We then moved on to team requirements. So if you want to organize your compliance, what actually do you need in terms of people? Staff experts on AML and KYC, but also what we see a lot nowadays are compliance and especially GDPR officers, and also some requirements that are related to matters itself. Finally, we took some time to discuss all the trends that we see in the market, and especially what's relevant and what we see a lot of discussion about is the increasing role of gatekeeper of lawyers in a financial system. And that's something that came also up if you look at client privilege, for instance. So that was the first part. Then we moved on to conflicts of interest. And it started off that one of the most fundamental duties of a lawyer is that you're never allowed to act in a conflict of interest. So what do you do when there are different types of conflicts? And that's what we discussed. So we took 4 different types of conflicts, and especially we looked into the differences between China and the United Kingdom. And in China, you see a lot of law firms that have a commission-based model. What does it mean in terms of conflicts of interest? And also we looked at exclusivity arrangements, on lateral hire conflicts, and at the end also sometime on personal conflicts. Then we moved on to confidentiality and legal privilege. We talked about a few best practices that we see now, especially in the Corona times with cybersecurity risk, agile working and home office, but especially also what are the limits that you see in terms of legal privilege and what you need to take care of. And that was something we discussed also in practice. So we had a lively discussion on the differences, what we see in confidentiality, especially nowadays when working from home. So what's the impact of remote working? What are cyber threats? And also how do you educate your own people? The final part was on KYC and AML, so know your customer. First, we did some setting the scene. So we looked at what actually does KYC mean? Why do you do it? What's important? Some of the legal frameworks we discussed, and also the sanctions that we now see, because there are some sanctions coming up now. And after that, Martin Simovaart talked about what he sees in practice within his law firms when dealing with KYC, and especially he took some different topics that were quite relevant. Lively discussion for 1.5 hours. Was very great to do it. That was my presentation. Thank you very much. If you have any questions about it, please reach out to me. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for organizing and attending this conference. My name is Natalia Anferova. I'm a business and career coach. Today, I will summarize my thoughts on the topic, the culture of feedback, that I presented on November 11. Building a feedback culture is not the same as building traditional annual report or traditional annual performance review or any other systems that rank or evaluate employees. Instead, companies that create best practices in talent management are now all moving to more agile systems designed to provide continuous feedback throughout the year. The goal of smaller businesses, though, is to change the entire organizational ecosystem from no feedback culture to supporting an environment that encourages frequent, consistent, and coaching and conversation at all levels. My approach is that both forms have to be developed and support each other. They play different roles. Annual formal performance review plays a structuring role for the development process and serves accounting purposes. But without everyday real-time feedback, they may set unrealistic expectations, contain surprise feedback, can confuse and demoralize employees and negatively influence their performance. And it is often inconsequential to employees' learning and development. Informal real-time feedback helps employees to learn and improve quickly and allows them to adjust their performance on a day-to-day basis. But giving and receiving regular constructive feedback requires building a feedback culture in your company. When I say culture, I mean that everybody should be included. All employees, including management, need to learn how to receive and provide feedback, both positive and corrective feedback. And now a few words on the techniques. So productive feedback only works in the context of a shared goal. So clarifying the goal is half the battle. So if you see at the scheme, C is for connecting with people, or is for making and sharing your observation, I is for showing an impact that people have, and N is for suggesting the new steps. So this is the coin model that I find very useful. Productive feedback coach focuses on the coaching purpose, and this requires the reframing. So that means that the move from the focus on failure to focus on learning, from somebody did something wrong to productive use of the experience in the future. So there is another thing I would like to emphasize. Building a culture of productive real-time feedback is one of the steps from the classic HR management towards creating a system of employee experience management aimed to deliver the positive career experience to employees. But most important is that positive employee experience serves as a part of a positive client experience that requires a holistic approach for attracting and retaining clients by providing a great experience across all the touch points of the client journey. Employees that are trained to give and receive corrective and positive development feedback from their colleagues can transport their experience to work relationship with their clients, making those more productive and providing better client experience. Again, you can see the structure of both formal and informal feedback. It can be built to keep a constant real-time dialogue with your clients, but also building the trust between employees and clients. It helps to exceed clients' expectations, to increase client satisfaction, loyalty, and advocacy. So finally, I would like to introduce the system of the total feedback. It includes both formal structure and informal elements, and for the employees inside and for the clients outside. So I would like to thank you for your attention and for your further feedback. And I would like to meet you in person at the round table later today. Thank you.
Dear colleagues, let me introduce myself. I'm Anna Kostura and a founder and a managing partner of recently incorporated consulting company Legend. We are a team of professionals who dare to make the world of legal services and legal system better. During my presentation, I will try to convince you that legal design is an innovative tool for efficient communication. During last years, the world and human beings have changed. More and more transactions are performed online. Speed of transactions execution increased very much. Time of concentration of millennial generation, as you know, it's only 30 seconds. For Generation Z, it's only 8 seconds. Artificial intelligence and big data technologies development are main triggers to generate promising ideas to how legal services can be improved. As a result, digital transformation requires new communication ways, and usability is becoming a new interface of law. Thus, a modern client declares new requirements to services such as efficiency, productivity, safety, and convenience. Let us abstract it from legal services. You will probably agree that a lot of things produced in the world are developed without caring about client. For example, a huge smart telephone that doesn't fit to your arm, food package that can be opened only with your teeth. And we all understand how important to develop user-centric things and products. Let us return to legal services. Needless to say that legal design improves the quality of legal services a lot. It makes, for example, a contractual process cheaper, a decision-making process quicker, and the result of legal services outstanding. Which areas of law and in which legal functions legal design is mostly applicable right now? From our experience, there are many areas for legal design approach, namely asset management, terms of use and private policies, loyalty programs, public office, contracts with your counterparties and compliance procedures, local regulations, and many, many others. In practice, when we create an innovative legal product for the market or for the certain client, it doesn't matter. The project always consists of 4 main components: empathy, when you feel yourself in your client's shoes; openness to experiments, the ability to look at the problem from broader perspective; awareness, a deep knowledge of the subject; and of course, a teamwork, an ability to attract into your project as many experts as the project needs. Remember, a design-driven approach to innovation can center our work on real, live human problems, and it offers a clear set of process, mindsets, and mechanics. Legal design makes the process more practical, agile, and user-centered, and the result of your work is always more efficient, more usable, and friendlier. As a legal design-driven approach to legal services always starts from a definition of the problem and consists of 5 stages: defining the problem, development of a pilot, testing a pilot on various group, analysis of a feedback, and project finalization. Usability can be reached only if you pilot your ideas and solutions by developing as many versions of the documents as needed to reach the required level of usability. Here on the slide, we demonstrated many variants of the code of ethics that were prepared for one of our biggest clients. Piloting the developed versions of the documents or process involves their testing on focus group. Testing is a mandatory stage from my point of view of any legal design project, since it gives you a feedback based on how the legal product was embraced by focus group, but not based on your own stereotypes. Feedback analysis gives you the chance to adjust the document on any legal product to real needs to your client. I must admit that innovative lawyer differs from a traditional one by his attitude to the final result of the project. An innovative lawyer always cares about the usability of his or her work. When you have passed all 4 stages of the legal design project, you can finalize the project, and you must be ready to amend the documents that started to live according to the changes of business and regulatory environments. Definitely, legal design will sell your product for further stages. Dear colleagues, lawyers, let me summarize positive effects of using legal design. Legal design can drive successful innovation in how we deliver and practice law. Legal design offers a way to rethink and to improve our clients' experience of law. Design offers a clear human-centered process of understanding what is better for your clients. Legit is a team of professionals. We are innovative lawyers who, along with traditional legal services, provide our clients with legal tech and legal design services. Join us and be innovative. Thank you for your attention.
Great. Oh, gosh, for Friday nights, that was an experience, right? It was actually usually quite complicated to make lawyers to talk in time and to talk right to the subject. I think those, who were today with us can clearly say that if you're not able to do this, then you just don't know how to cook lawyers. But I would like to thank you very much, all the speakers. And it was absolutely marvelous experience to listen to all of you. I have to admit that it is so much information that I would love to have this all presentations, just, in my hands and to go through them during one of the weekends, because it's actually so much valuable information. So I'm absolutely sure that it would actually give me quite a significant additional boost to the development of the practice. And so I would like once more to thank all the participants and to say that, I'm really very much impressed how you were able to keep up with the stress and with this, timing that we had. And, especially this timing that was going on the lower parts of the screen, giving you kind of, quite inevitable change of the slide. That was an extremely experienced, and lawyers can only handle this situation in such a good manner. But now we are moving to the next step of our webinar, and this would be connected with the online World Cafe, and we are going to do this in the remote format, just for the sake of our future and your sake of transfer from this format to the RIMA. The reference to the RIMA would be in the chat, and you will be able to push it. You need to quite easily register yourself. And then what you will be required to do is to select the table that you are going to join. There will be 2 sessions, 20 minutes each. So after 20 minutes, you will be asked to change the table and to find somebody else to talk with. And then you will be able also to see the name of the table, so what will be the discussion about, and also the language of the table. In some of the tables, you'll see English and Russian. Depending on the number of the participants, you will either be speaking one language or another. So unfortunately, we're not going to have translation at these tables. And what I would like also to do is to ask you to stay after this, 40 minutes, because we'll have several final comments from the co-chairs and also from the Law Firm Management Committee co-chair. So now, Zoya, please make some additional, comments on the household issues, and we will move to the format.
Okay, thank you, Vlad. I will just give some recommendations to make the use of Remo more smooth for you. So we recommend that you use Windows-based laptop or desktop computer, preferably. It does work on Mac because I'm using Mac, so no worries, but the recommended is Windows-based. Tablets and mobile devices are not well supported right now. It's in beta testing phase. The access to Remo is optimized using Chrome browser. Firefox is the next best option. When accessing the IBA networking platform, you should ensure that you have enabled your webcam and microphone to be able to meet and chat with your colleagues. Also, make sure that your webcam and microphone are not active on another platform, such as Teams or Zoom. Otherwise, you will not be able to connect. That means that when we leave Zoom to Remo, you actually have to leave Zoom and close it. We also recommend that the delegates use a headset or headphones with a built-in microphone to optimize the performance during the IBA networking session. So now you can see the link in the chat box. You can follow this link to transfer to Remo platform. As Vlad said, there are going to be 2 rounds, each round 20 minutes, then you will be able to switch the table. Also, when you access the platform, you will see that there are like several tables drawn with the chairs around the tables. So you can choose the topic that you like, and then when you want to sit on this particular table, just double click on the virtual seat and you will be joined to that particular table. You will see it's very easy, and probably my last advice also is to get the maximum of this experience is to actually set your profile. You will see like in the right upper corner, a circle with your name. So when you click the circle, you can add your picture, you can add your personal information, your professional information. So the people that you will be meeting at the table will instantly be able to access the information about you. So I think that would be it from my recommendations. And now you just have to follow the link that you see in the chat box. We will allow several minutes so everyone can make clear, register, set their profile, and we will see you in Remo in a few minutes.
Мы можем здесь из этого Рему. Zoom закрываем. Нам зачем?
Сейчас разойдемся по комнатам.